Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are watching episodes 294 and 295 of Bleach. I'm going to predict right now that I'm not ready for these episodes because the last two videos I've made for Bleach, I have cried, been heartbroken, gotten angry and frustrated, stressed about the safety of basically all of the characters, and just generally been too many emotions overwhelming me simultaneously. So in my brain, I'm like, it can get worse, and I'm like, no, wait, don't say that because that'll just be a challenge. I feel like there's so much more left of this little part of the Arrancar arc that it can only get more stressful from here, right? Like I'm not prepared for whatever is about to come because I'm already distraught about basically everybody. So I don't know what this has to hold. I know that you guys have warned me that it's a bit of a roller coaster ride of stress and emotions from here on out, so I'll try to prepare myself for that. But on the upside, we did get to see a little bit of Yamamoto in the preview for this next coming up episode, so I'm excited for that, getting to see some of his fighting style. But last episode, we had a lot of stuff happen with Aizen, and it's really, like, it's bringing down my confidence. I was all like, yeah, like the rest of like Soul Society and Visor working together to try and help Ichigo. It's great. Love seeing the teamwork. And then he just obliterated all of them. And I like tricked them into thinking Hinamori was him, and then they attacked her, and I'm so distraught about it. Like I don't want to talk about it, and I'm like, that's going to be the thing that's in the recap, isn't it? They're going to recap that moment at the beginning of this next episode, so I have to live through it again. I know, I'm calling it right now, they're going to do that to me. But tricked them into thinking that he was actually there when they attacked him, and even then I was like, nah, this isn't the end of Aizen, this can't be the way that it goes, there's trickery of some kind, because there's no way it was going to work out like that. And then we had him just injuring everybody. Like everybody is down for the count except for Ichigo and the people that weren't directly in that fight yet. So I worry about Ichigo too because we saw some pretty high ranked fighters. Like these are people who are captains or used to be captains, people who also have holification, people who have trained to use their powers and their abilities for hundreds of years, and we're not able to even get a scratch on Aizen. Like that is what we are dealing with here. And I am so worried about Ichigo. I know that he has a little bit of an advantage because he hasn't seen Aizen's Shikai like fully work, so the illusions don't get to him, but at the same time, that mixed with the fact that he has a ton of spiritual pressure doesn't make up for like training and experience. I feel like he's gonna really have to pull some kind of trick off if he's going to do this. Because even Aizen himself said like numbers and strength aren't enough. Like, and Gin was like, that's not enough. Like we have all of these people who have tried with power and numbers and it hasn't been enough. So I think that in the end, you're going to have to outthink Aizen. And that really isn't Ichigo's strong point, which is why I was like, oh, it's great that we have other people helping. Not so much anymore. So I really don't know what Ichigo is going to do. I don't know how he's going to be able to do it because he just saw a bunch of his friends get hurt and also hurt one of his friends. And he's been dealing with all of this self-doubt in terms of being able to use his hollow abilities, being able to use his full strength, being able to fight and not hurt people in the process of doing that. So I really worry about how he is going to process through that. But we do have Yamamoto hopefully getting involved now that his captains have been kind of taken out of the fight, that he's going to decide to step in since he isn't going to be like disrespecting those captains. Like I feel like he wouldn't step in before because he was trusting in them, and if he had stepped in to join the fight, it would kind of be disrespectful to him believing that they'd be able to handle it. But now that they're not able to fight anymore, I'm sure that he will join in. We also don't know what's going on with Urahara or Yoroichi or any of that gang, so maybe I hope Urahara has like some kind of plan. I mean, there's still a few captains in Huecomundo who could also help, but we don't know what's going on with Yami. We've just like left that. I don't know if we'll come back to that or if it's just kind of happening in the background, but there's I'm so stressed about just basically everything. It doesn't help with the other shows that I'm watching, like Vinland Saga and Tower of God are also stressing me out, so I'm a little bit wound up, but let's just get into episode 294. In three, two, one, go. See, that's Yamamoto. The voice, but also the like pillar of flame. Oh, hello, Wonderweiss. This, why? I still haven't looked up what the song is. I don't even know what number this is. I haven't posted my reaction like my previous one, so um I think it says it in like the credits and I didn't recognize the name, so I'm sure someone is gonna like answer it and like the reaction that you'll have seen before this one. It just hasn't been posted yet, so I haven't seen any of the comments or anything like that, so I'll have to wait and see, I guess. Patience. Oh wait. No, my controller! I just need to get Totoro now because this is not gonna be good for my heart rate level. See, there's a lot of Gin in the opener too, which makes me feel like we're gonna get some kind of Gin episode. I like some of the images from like the first like episode. It's been so long. It's been such a long journey. Oh, you're gonna make me watch it again. I know. I knew that this because they always pick the most heartbreaking moment to be part of the recap. I'm gonna try not cough a lot. We'll see how it works out. He did not. See, in like the clip of like Hinamori, also her like face is like her eyes are covered. And we've talked before about if the character's eyes are covered, are probably hiding something. Especially there where there's like a shadow over her eyes. Gosh, I feel like I was thinking about this earlier because I was editing the last reaction and I was legitimately tearing up again just thinking about it. It upsets me so much. This whole thing. Toshiro, I feel so. I feel so many things for him. Yeah, see, it looks like he lost part of his leg. I wasn't sure if he did. Because I was very distraught about a lot of things when I first saw this. I do appreciate that this scene is like mostly music. Like there isn't like a bunch of dialogue or like you can't even like hear like here you can kind of like hear their like the sounds of like them being hurt and stuff like that, where it's like you couldn't during like the actual scene where he was going around. Be careful though, Ichigo. I worry. Does look like Yamamoto's getting involved though. That he is preventing Ichigo from picking a fight with Aizen. And he looks pissed. But like that kind of like quiet, simmering anger. Listen to the weight of him walking though. Like even like in the air. It's true. He has that whole thing where he's like everything has already been decided, like almost like destiny. You know what I mean? I need Yamamoto to put up a really good fight though. Ooh, saying if you can sense the spiritual pressure, maybe you can go against like counter it. Yeah, what's going? Why are there multiple pillars of flame? Is this Yamamoto's power? With you, I prefer if you didn't die. Like, I don't know how to feel about Yamamoto as like a person, but I would like for him to not sacrifice himself, considering I don't know if this will work. Okay, I definitely don't want you taking the other Soul Reapers and Visored with you. I know that they came prepared to like sacrifice their lives if they had to, but I'd prefer if we didn't. Wonderweiss in release form, I'm assuming. Did we already see that? It's been so long since we did Wonderweiss's fight. I can't remember. He lost his captain's jacket, though. Okay, so Yamamoto has more power on a head-to-head fight. That's good to know. Are we gonna learn the reason for Wonderweiss being created and not being like an official Espada? So I'm assuming he has like he like steals the power. His own like Wonderweiss was made to fight Yamamoto. That was like the reason. Dang, talk about planning ahead. Oh dear. I was hoping someone else would fight Wonderweiss. Well, that seemed to do something. That's true, though. He doesn't have to fight it with the Zanpakuto. Over 1,000 years? It's a very long time. I'm sure Wonderweiss also has some regeneration of some kind. It's a lot of scars. I guess if you've been I mean, head captain for 1,000 years, let alone being a captain or a soul reaper leading up to that point. You've probably seen a lot of conflict and trained a lot. Look at him go, though. Oof. Way to Superman punch him. It's true, there's kind of like a mindlessness to Wonderweiss that means that, like they may be strong and like brute strength, but that doesn't mean that they can like outmaneuver necessarily. Ooh, I don't like all of the arms though. But of course, if you're gonna have like a bunch of arms on your character, they have to have really fast consecutive punches. I always just think of One Punch Man when that happens though. He's like regular consecutive punches. Yamamoto seems unfazed though. Oh dang. Beat him up. What does that mean? I don't even fully understand what just happened, but dang, Yamamoto. Okay. Crushed his soul? Is that why he like fell apart? Uh-oh. It'd basically be a bomb, wouldn't it? If it's like all of those flames condensed into one single spot. I'm really glad that this is an empty town. Except for, like, obviously Soul Society advisor is there. But attacked by his own power, though. Your world. Oh, I had such high hopes for Yamamoto. Of course, he had a plan, though. Aizen always has a plan. It's very annoying. I feel like someone's gonna interfere. Ooh, what are we doing now? My goodness. Like red flame? Did scratch him up though a little bit. Singed his clothes. Ichigo coming in, taking the opportunity. I wonder if it'll actually reach him though. Because obviously he's noticed. So okay. Not as stressful. Not as stressful as the last couple of, well, 4 episodes. Still though, I was hoping that Yamamoto would get to have like a proper fight with Aizen, which he might still be able to, but I didn't expect Wonderweiss to be kind of like the trump card of the lineup. I knew that Wonderweiss was like different from the other Espada, but I wasn't really sure where they fit in to the whole thing. I do really like this ender though. I just noticed that there's like stuff on my screen. So it looks like we're gonna get back into Ichigo fighting him. He's still fighting the other captain. Though they're kind of fighting each other too. They get on each other's nerves a little bit. Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm like, don't interfere. Yamamoto is one of those characters that has been hinted, like his powers have been hinted at for a while now, like since we got to see a little bit of it at near the end of the Soul Society arc, so it's definitely one that I've wanted to see more of, to explore what he had in store, and specifically the going up against Aizen was something that I really wanted to see from him. I thought if anyone had a good chance of being able to go up against Aizen and have it turn out okay, it was probably Yamamoto, but I didn't know if that was something that was actually going to happen, considering that Ichigo showed up again, that we got to see some of Shinji going up against him, so I wasn't really sure if that was the fight that was going to happen, and we sort of saw it. It turned more into like a Yamamoto versus Wonderweiss thing, which, I mean, Wonderweiss has been kind of a wild card this whole time. Like, I remember spending a bunch of the Arrancar arc being like, what happened to Wonderweiss? Are they with Aizen? Are they still in Huecomundo? What are they up to? Because I just like didn't see them for a while, so got to kind of get some context for who Wonderweiss is, what the purpose of Wonderweiss was, because I always thought it was weird that they weren't part of the Espada lineup. They were just sort of like there for a little bit, and then they were with Gin for a while, and then they disappeared, and I was like, what about Wonderweiss? So getting to see that some of the purpose for Wonderweiss was connected to Yamamoto, obviously Aizen with a plan, because why wouldn't he have thought through basically everything? Liked getting to see some of Wonderweiss's kind of purpose and what their role was in this whole master plan that Aizen has going on. Getting to see Yamamoto flex some of his ability as well. I'm not sure how much more we'll see of him though, because he had to put a lot of effort into blocking his own attack, basically. That's kind of one of the, it's something that I've always thought is like super overpowered, is like if you can flip someone's power back at them, because like you can always have enough power to do damage that way, because if you're able to just like flip an attack that someone throws at you back at them, then it means that you're always going to be powerful enough compared to the person that you're directly fighting. So unless you have to fight like multiple people that have like differing levels, you're basically okay. So Yamamoto having to basically withstand an attack from himself, he seems to still be sort of doing okay, considering that he was still able to at least sort of attack Aizen there at the end. So I don't know how much more we'll see of him in this particular fight. Obviously Ichigo is the point of the whole like big fight with Aizen. We are going to have to see Ichigo fight against him at some point, so excited to see where that goes. We still have Unohana, who's a bit of a wild card too. I know she has to have something going on. There's something about her ability, her particular set of skills. Like she's got this weird like passive aggressive thing going on where she like smiles sweetly, but there's kind of venom to her words. So I am curious to kind of see where she's at. I know Shinji was impressed that she showed up, that she came with Ichigo. I think part of that has to do with her healing ability, but there's got to be something else. She's a captain for a reason, you know? So excited to see where that goes, if we're going to get to see some of the other characters that are kind of around, like Urahara and Yoroichi, and like what's Ishida's dad doing? Do we still like him? He was sort of with Ishin, and they like kind of had sort of a bit of an understanding, so I don't know what the history is there, but you know, like where are those people at? Because Ichigo could use a little bit of backup, or like moral support at least. Not quite as stressful, I think, for me, because I don't have like a personal connection to Yamamoto. I think his power is cool. Obviously he has a lot of power, and there's probably a lot of backstory and mystery to him that probably I won't find out about with what is the material that's like already been adapted into the anime. That might be something that I have to wait until the new episodes come out, or reading the manga or bonus material and stuff like that. But you know, because it's not like the main people with Yamamoto, it was a little bit less of a connect for me, but it looks like we're getting into some of the more intense stuff as we get closer and closer to Ichigo having to fight Aizen. So let's just get into episode 295. In 3, 2, 1, go. Starting with Hollow Ichigo. All part of your plan? Very dramatic. As only Aizen can be. Also, I finally gotten to a point where someone commented that this is Sid. And that's who I thought it was. My brain was like, maybe it's Sid because I recognize the singer. And it was. I shouldn't doubt myself so much. Did I say that in the previous reaction? It's been a hot minute since I watched the previous episode. I'm gonna admit that right now. So, I can't remember. If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. My life's been busy and I can't remember what I've said, so. I like that it's Sid, though. Sid's a good band. At least, were? Are they still making music? I don't actually know. I haven't kept up with them. I don't actually know this song, though, before, like, hearing the opener. I just know the band. I love that I know a bunch of the bands, though. I think that that's, like, the most otaku thing. From, like, early 2000s anime, where I'm just like, I know all the bands that do the openers. Yeah. There's a lot of power that Wonderweiss absorbed. He's still determined though, like points to Yamamoto for still holding out. Just the whole like you're like the history of Soul Society itself. I wonder like how far back Yamamoto goes in line with like the timeline of Soul Society's existence. What now? Is that why he has those scars? Because of the like way that he's like channeling power through him? So it's less like somebody gave him those scars and more about like how he uses this particular keto? Because Aizen said it was forbidden, so I'm assuming there's something dangerous about using it. You underestimated somebody. Points to Yamamoto for like catching him off guard. We appreciate anybody who can out outmaneuver Aizen, even if only briefly. Oi, Ichigo. Hey! You actually got him! Look at you go! Improvement. I'm still worried about him not being able to control the hollow side, though. Because I feel like he might need the extra, like, power that comes from his, like, I don't know, second release thing? Look at Aizen's dead eyes, though. They don't have the highlight that like kind of shows that there's life there. I'm like, does he have instant regeneration? Because that, yeah. No? Wait, hold on. What's in his chest? Is it some kind of item? I was wondering if he had holification or not. Oh, that's where it went. The Hogyoku. Why? What do you need Ichigo for? Sure. Yeah. Oh, that was so long ago. It freaked me out a lot. I don't know if mastered, but he definitely got a little bit of a understanding of his holification just in time for it to go haywire again. But what do you need Ichigo for? What is it about his spiritual pressure that's like important? Is it because he wants to make like he wants to get enough spiritual pressure to make the thing to be uh like a king? Is that part of it? My gosh, this is like episode 1. Aww. When they first met. The beginning of it all. Wow, the animation has changed. Can we talk about that? So he was watching. And then we have Ishida. Oh, I remember this too. Oh my gosh, the nostalgia. And just like that, they became buddies. Ichigo seems so much younger in these clips. Like, I feel like he's grown so much, and it was so, like, subtle that, like, you really have to think back to, like, earlier seasons or earlier arcs to fully get it. Yes. The first time we saw a Menos, which, like, isn't even, like, properly intimidating anymore. which is crazy to me. Like I remember like the Forest of Meadows where they were just like, oh yeah, we gotta deal with a bunch of meadows. Like let's do that today. And it like barely registered. Whereas like this one, it was like, holy crap, like this is like something we're gonna have to deal with. It was a big deal in this moment. Oh, hello. Well, that's a little terrifying. Did we see that before? Ugh, well, that's creepy too. I don't like the giggling while looking at Rukia. I mean, I assume maybe that has something to do with Aizen watching over her and wanting them to find her. Byakuya and Renchi. This is when we first met Renji, isn't it? Very different time. Ugh, this still. Ugh. Like the way that it just sort of like ripped through his shoulder. He had no idea what they were awakening this moment. But they became friends too, it's all good. Byakuya, well, he's there. He's nicer. I don't know if they're his friends, really. Yeah, I remember this. I'm pretty sure I cried. It's honestly a little bit weird to see Ichigo's Sanpakuto out of Bankai form. I'm so used to him using his Bankai now that it's weird to see Zangetsu in like other forms. I cried during this too. So there's times where I'm like, I remember this, I cried. I think this fight still sticks with me. Like this one, and then Renji and Byakuya. It's just like emotionally scarring for me. I like this part of the OST though. It's so 90s, I love it. Kenpachi's something else, isn't he? This is the first time we saw his full power. But the skull, that's still cool. Like, he still has one of the coolest, like, representations of what his spiritual pressure is like. Ichigo doesn't do the silver eye thing anymore, though. I just noticed that. He usually goes hollow, which has the, like, black and red, as opposed to the blue and silver that he had before. It's the Byakuya fight. I'm assuming that because it's kind of like the next big power up moment. He had so many of those in Soul Society. It's been a lot slower since then, but I feel like it's also, I don't know though, like I feel like he had to figure out a lot of things really quickly in the Soul Society arc because he was like on the clock and he was trying to get Orukia back and he didn't really have anyone to help and he was going up against like really powerful people. Whereas like the Arrancar arc, he's had a lot of help with them and it's been a little bit more uh drawn out. Byakuya still has one of the prettiest Bankai though. And I love the like I don't know the way like because again like I don't like weapon based fighting as much as I like other styles of fighting. So the fact that he like manipulates it with like hand and arm movement just makes it a lot more I don't know to my aesthetic. But Ichigo has. Ichigo somehow survived this. Well, he survived it because White Ichigo took over. Let's be honest. Ugh. And then it got significantly more complicated after this moment. Yeah. See, I wonder how Aizen knew that Ichigo would have holification. Like, I have so many questions. That's it? You're not gonna give me context? You're gonna just be like, hey, these moments are important to like what Aizen's plan is, but you're not gonna give me, you're not gonna expand on that for me? It's fine. I'll just let all of my thoughts just figure themselves out, I guess. Just something for me to contemplate and think about too much for the next little bit. We'll be fine. I'm sure in the next episode, maybe, we'll learn something. Because he said, like, oh, it begins now. So I'm assuming that, like, the next steps are a little bit more important, especially since they happen, like, I don't know, post Aizen's betrayal. Remember when Ichigo was just like a high school student? Oh, is Gin gonna have something important to do in the next episode? Ishin? Why was Ishin there? That's what I was saying. I'm like, remember when he was a high school student? Yeah, I mean, he probably still would have gotten into fights. So I feel like a lot of that was recapping stuff, obviously, but I also think it's important. Like, I feel like it's kind of like Aizen said at the little thing at the end of the with the preview that it's important that we kind of remember what important kind of shifting moments in Ichigo's story have been up to this point because I do really feel like all of this growth, all these things that have happened have led up to this point. Obviously, Aizen saying it's all part of his plan, but I also feel like we are getting to kind of the end of the Arrancar arc, a very important battle with him going up against Aizen and proving himself in a lot of ways. So getting to see some of that growth and kind of recap it, I feel like is really important to just kind of see where we've come from and what kind of things have been going on. Some of them I didn't even fully remember, which is ridiculous. Like I didn't remember how brutal Byakuya was in their fight. Like I didn't remember him like stabbing Ichigo in the foot. I forgot about the thing on his shoulder. Like so much has happened since then that there's stuff that like I don't fully remember in my brain. So I liked getting some of that context back and of course sort of seeing little things where it's like, oh, this is actually like where Aizen was, you know, this is what he was thinking, or this is what he was observing, or this is what he was noticing, and kind of getting that side of the story that obviously we didn't get before, and, you know, getting to see them again with, you know, coming from the frame of mind that these are the events connected to Aizen and his plan, which obviously I didn't have for anything prior to the end of the Soul Society arc. Everything before that, I didn't know who Aizen was, what was going on, what kind of person he was, and like that he had some kind of plan. So getting to go back and see those with that mindset, I feel like maybe they take on a little bit of a different tone. Maybe there's some things in there that if I were to go back and like fully watch, maybe I could see some of the foreshadowing, because we know Bleach loves foreshadowing, like stuff way before that they'll just hint, and then I have to remember like arcs later that something was already hinted to me, and then I'm like, I don't remember, and you guys remind me of things. So maybe if I think about it for a little bit, I let it kind of simmer in my brain, I might take some more information from that. But I think the most terrifying thing is just the thought that Aizen has been working on this plan for so long, and I feel like we've gotten a little bit of context of stuff that happened like before Ichigo was introduced as a character, was turned into a Soul Reaper and stuff like that, like when we had the Pendulum arc and other little things that were happening before in the backstories of some of the Soul Reaper characters, of their interactions with Aizen. But I don't feel like we've really explored like Ichigo's story as it is related directly to who Aizen is. So I liked that we were kind of acknowledging that Ichigo has been part of this plan too. Like, he isn't something that Aizen suddenly had to figure out how to deal with. He has actually been something that Aizen is aware of, has planned for, is manipulating in some way, and that's terrifying, but also like I'm sure that there's little pieces that like string all together and like come together into some kind of actual plan, and I feel like it probably has something to do with Ichigo's spiritual pressure. We know that he has a lot of it, and it's something that Aizen specifically pointed out, and we know that spiritual pressure is part of how he is going to make this the key thing that like turns him into the equivalent of the king. Like, that's why he was going to destroy the city, is because he was going to take all of the spiritual pressure, because there's a lot in that particular area and there's lots of people who have spiritual pressure. So he was going to take all of that so that he could basically be equivalent to the like king of the Soul Society. I feel like maybe Ichigo has something to do with that, considering that he has significantly more spiritual pressure than captains do, as Unohana pointed out. So I feel like probably there's something to that is directly connected to Aizen's whole plan that he has going on. So if I had to guess, I would say that that is kind of what he is working out with Ichigo. I'll be interested to see why Ichigo specifically, like how he knew that he was going to have a lot of spiritual pressure, or sensed him, or if there's something about who Ichigo is. Maybe it has something to do with Isshin. I would say Isshin, maybe his mom. We don't have a lot of context about who his mom was before. We know that she had a lot of these like basic kind of spiritual abilities, like we've seen with Keren and Yuzu, which is like seeing ghosts and having a sense of like hollows and people with spiritual pressure and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of the kind of like Soul Reaper stuff is more like Isshin, but like maybe there's some connection with his mom too. I don't really know what their backstory is. I feel like one of you guys mentioned in a comment, or maybe on Discord, that there's like an episode that goes into the backstory of Ichigo's parents and like how they met each other and stuff like that. So maybe I will get some kind of context of like who they are and stuff like that. I feel like we'll have to explore Isshin a little bit more anyway to kind of understand his character. But if I had to guess, I would say Aizen wants Ichigo's spiritual pressure specifically. And I also feel like he's planned for a lot of things, like the holification and all that kind of stuff. So I probably don't fully know what Aizen's plan is. I feel like I never fully know what it is, but a lot of, you know, kind of recapping and kind of pulling some of those pieces together to end up at this point. So it looks like we are going to get maybe some more of that kind of flashback, some stuff with Gin, which you guys have told me that I am going to get some kind of moment for Gin where we kind of explore his character, because I still feel like he's been in a lot of scenes, but I haven't seen like his kind of, like, I don't really know what motivates him, what his personality really is. He's very like, he has a very strong kind of outward facade that I feel like I've only really seen little bits of who he really is when he's with Matsumoto and kind of their interactions, where she's kind of his weak point. So he kind of comes out of his persona a little bit more when she's around. So he's getting back into the picture. We saw a brief clip of Ishin, so I don't know if we're going to see what he's involved with. I mean, Ichigo doesn't know that he's a Soul Reaper yet, so might be a little bit of an awkward re-meeting of each other, but I mean, I'm always looking forward to an episode where Ishin gets to come in and shine, so maybe we'll get that in the next episode or the episode after that, but I'm just glad that this has been a little bit more relaxing than the previous few episodes, because I need a breather. I need some kind of buffer, so I'm glad that we're getting that before we really get into Aizen's fight. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next time I put a Bleach video out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!